and Try with Matt.
Welcome to another episode of Learn and Try with Matt. Today we're talking about trade shows. You might have heard a trade show. An example of a trade show would be CES. You know, that is a trade show, Consumer Electronics Show. Notable others would be PAX East. That's for gaming. There's all Comic-Con. There's all sorts of different types of trade shows. But today I'm with a guy who works in the business. His name is Mike. So, how long have you been in the trade show business, my man?
I've been in the business since April of 2008, so about 14 years.
Wow. And over those 14 years, what kind of knowledge can you enlighten us on the industry of we call trade shows? Tell me all you know.
Well, it's kind of a loaded question. I guess trade shows are very important because it's a very good networking place. It's a good business tool to use because in today's society, a majority of everybody uses emails, phones.
Yeah.
With everything happening with COVID and everybody being remote, like the Zooms or Teams have been very popular.
I think they also call it social networking.
Yes, you're right. But nothing beats face-to-face marketing and business.
Good old
belly-to-belly selling is what they call it.
Yeah, good old haggling them and saying, I'll give you this if you get me this,
Yeah, trade shows are more oriented for promoting someone's product or service. It's not necessarily a trade for trade shows. You're not trading or bartering things. It's a good way to, like I said, get that face-to-face contact, but showing somebody the physicality of either their product or showing demonstrations of their technology or their softwares that they're coming out with. It's not necessarily you're trading an object for an object at a trade show.
Okay. Tell me about, what is the process of delivering? I also hear, Mike, you also design booths for companies and
Correct.
How does that work, and what is the intricacies of doing that?
So what we do here at Trade Show Stop, we're one of the largest providers of custom, portable, and modular displays and graphics for people who go to trade shows. So we work with several different industries. We're not one who exhibit ourselves. We provide the displays and the graphics for companies who go. So if somebody comes to us with say we have a 10-foot by 10-foot space or a 10-foot by 20 or a 20 by 20, we take a needs assessment from the client to find out what exactly they want to portray themselves at this particular show, and we create an environment or an atmosphere with the displays and graphics at this show in their allotted spaces throughout the country.
So how much, labor does that require? How does the design start off? What?
Well, it's pretty amazing how it goes from start to finish. We're basically building homes that can transport across the country and set up in 3 days, and we can tear them down or set them up and tear them down within 8 hours, hopefully less. It's a very interesting process that is very beneficial for the business world.
So, I don't know if you guys travel to set up, but how does the process of traveling to trade shows, what's the accommodations, how do you get all this manpower and labor to set up, for example, if it's a giant booth, how do you get all this manpower to be there at a certain...
Our company itself is only located here in Nashville, but we service the entire country. But we have a lot of partners that we trust across the country that we can hire out for that labor force. So let's say somebody has a show in Las Vegas or up in Boston. We have, I guess you'd call them sister companies or partners that we can trust that are familiar with our displays that we can hire to be on the show floor to give our customers confidence that their show and their displays will be set up properly.
Okay. What have you learned over the 14 years of working in the trade show industry? What's the good? What's the bad? What are the lessons to take away? What's...
Well, nothing will beat face-to-face business. We can go on social media, we can email left and right, we can do everything, but the networking and being able to show somebody a physical product or demonstrate things. The networking side, building relationships on a personal level, are just unmatched in any other aspect of business.
So how many partners do you guys have, or like what, or if you're allowed to, I don't know if you're allowed to say that, but I guess how many other companies are partnered with this company that will?
Yeah, so we work with about the top 7 to 8 manufacturers in the country.
Wow.
That are located all over the country.
Now, was it hard to start a partnership with them, or easy, or?
We were very blessed in our previous owners with Jay and Carol Larimore. They built the relationships with these manufacturers over 20 years ago.
Wow.
And they were one of the first in the industry to really have a multi-partnership in the industry.
Another question is, do you do any booths and stuff? Do you have any customers currently that go to the SHOT Show? You know, that's a big gun.
Yeah, SHOT Show was about a month ago, and we had 2 very large clients that were at that show.
Okay. Well, that's cool. The only reason I'm asking is my dad has gone plenty of times. And
it's a great show.
He's in the gun show industry, so you know.
Yeah, it's one of the largest of the year that happens out there in Las Vegas.
Do you have any booths that you set up for CES when it happens?
We have, yeah. We've had a few.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So I guess the next question is, what software or what design software do you use to create a product for a client? Like, what's?
Yeah, so with the design process, as far as the design of the graphics and the artwork is, we have 1 of 2 ways. Most of all of our displays, well, actually all of our displays have graphic templates. So if a company approaches us wanting to design a booth, but then with the artwork itself, we can forward over the templates to them and they can use their own graphic designer. Or we also do have our own in-house graphic designer that can be used.
Okay.
And so we just ask for certain elements of that artwork to be given to us, and we create the artwork from there.
Okay, that's pretty cool. You know, another question is, like, what is, I guess, out of your years in the experience of trade show, you know, how do you deal with bad, you know, business deals? How do you deal with, I mean, you know, business isn't perfect, but in this industry especially, things could go wrong, you know. How do you deal with those things if and when they do go wrong? How do you sort that out?
Yeah, well, in the 20 years of business that we've been in business, we've never missed a deadline we said we couldn't hit.
Okay, so, that's pretty impressive.
So I would say that we don't really make a lot of mistakes, knock on wood. No, we do a lot of, we cover ourselves, put a lot of things in writing. If a client has certain needs, we want to make sure it's in writing. It's not just verbally over the phone. We want to make sure that everybody's on the same page from start to finish. So when the finished product comes, everybody's delighted and everybody's happy with the outcome. And like I said before, we work with the top 7 manufacturers in the country. So if there happens to be an issue, we have great relationships with those manufacturers where we can get parts overnighted. If something happened to happen in the FedEx or UPS shipment, got broken, we can get that fixed right away. And we're very familiar with all of our products where we can make those on-site adjustments.
So
and
what's
repairs.
the biggest, like, display, I guess, or what's the most interesting display you've ever gotten to work on, or do you have a couple that you think were favorites? Or?
Well, they're all very unique. We range from, I mean, probably one of the most fascinating things is that we've worked with companies who start as a little 6-foot tabletop throw, and they go to a little career fair, and they're just a startup company, and we watch them grow to become a 40 by 40 double deck client, and they went from a really small mom and pop shop to a Fortune 500 company, and it's fun to be there along the way, all the way through their process of their marketing team. We kind of see ourselves as an extension of everybody's marketing team.
That's pretty cool.
So we are our own company, but we also like to feel like we have a relationship with every client that comes into our door.
Well, anything else you want to add to this? Anything you want to say? Anything we haven't talked about that you want to say?
Well, I would just say that if you've never been to a trade show, you should definitely go. It's a very sensory overload experience.
Well, I can tell you the 2 trade shows I've been, well, I don't know if they're trade shows, but I've been to all the gun shows with my dad. I've been, you know, those are technically not trade shows because they don't have booths, they just have tables. But you could call them a trade show. And I've been to PAX East, which happens in Boston. It's a gaming convention that happens every year in Boston. I went one year with my family, or with my mom, and there were tons of booths with graphics and different stuff, stuff that you're dealing with. But
that's awesome.
So I've been to a couple trade shows, but I haven't been to the big key ones like the consumer.
Well, now that we got the Music City Center here, one of the largest convention centers in the country, you should definitely take access to that and take the opportunity to go visit one, find a trade show that might be.
Wait, the Music City Center is actually the biggest in the country?
One of the biggest.
Like
a million square feet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew it was big, but I didn't think it was that big.
It's extremely large. A lot of big shows are coming this way.
And that is pretty cool.
Yeah. So find an industry that you're interested in, and you should definitely pop your head in.
Well, thanks for being on the show, Mike.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. And, this was sort of a fun little interview. And stop working in the dark, man. Just you need some vitamin D. You need some sunlight.
Got to get outside this building, huh?
Yeah.
Do some shows outside.
Yeah. Do some shows outside, Hell, even barbecue outside. I don't know.
Yeah, we got event tents and flags, too. We can do trade shows outside.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.